All right, legends, we've got some fun to be had here for our buy, hold, risk it, sell in round 11. I'm going through position by position if you are tuning in here, and if I don't get to the timestamps, it's hooker all the way down to wing fullback, from guns all the way through to mid-range and cheapies for obviously the entirety of the buy period is what I'm looking at here, rather than just solely for round 13 or round 14. I'm looking at the entirety of that section. If I haven't mentioned anyone in here, then they're either clearly a sell, like a Turbo, a Cleary, these types of guys, or they're a 1 week out, like a Max Plath, and they're going to be fine to hold in your sides. Trey Fuller, I'm holding in my side as well, just to give you a little bit of an update there. Joey Manu out for 1 week. These types of players, look after yourself with that one. Brimson, we got news that he's out for 6 to 8 weeks. Unfortunately, he's a sell also, if you didn't catch that one. The only news that we don't have right now is that of Brad Schneider, and that will, I think, affect a few people's decisions on whether to get Jack Cole or not, who I think is a really good buy. But let's get into Reed Mahoney. I think he's probably the best hooker selection right now, given I don't think he'll be in Origin, obviously, there as well. So, 708k. Priced at 51, he's had a really good year. 52.6 is the average. Consistency-wise has been much better. He had a terrible 10 missed tackle effort in round 1, which was, very similar to a lot of efforts last year with sort of 6, 7, 8, 9 missed tackles on a regular basis. He's been down really around the 3 mark for the majority of this season. Did have 6 on the weekend, but he made 64. So you can expect anywhere around that 50 mark for him on a week-to-week basis, anywhere up to 60 odd, down to the low 40. So that's cool, and he covers a lot of the really important weeks there. Obviously misses 15 and 19, but overall he's going to do a really good job for your side. So yeah, if you need a hooker, like my head-to-head team, I'm looking at him potentially this week, given I just brought in Havili last week to cover that hooker and mid, and then Reed can be that guy to help me out. Damien Cook, he's been off a lot of people's radars, but over the last few weeks, he's got back to some better minutes, obviously, but he did have to play fullback, which does hurt his obviously defensive numbers there in that one, and it was against the Panthers. So we take that away, and when he's been playing good minutes, and you can see here, 80 minutes in round 1, he's got a few games of 60, got an 80-minute 84 performance there, and then a 57 on the weekend, which is really cool. So if you think that he's going to be a guy that can hit a 50-odd average, not play Origin, plays round 14, round 16, round 19, 20, misses a couple in there in 13 and 17, the exact same buy schedule as that of Manly. And you're not worried about that round 17 one as much because it's Manly and then it is the Titans. Maybe you don't have a couple of those guys. And Damien Cook could be the player that you could pair with like a Brayley or a Lussick or something like that. That can work out. You could pair him with, it wouldn't work for a bunch of the weeks, but if you were pairing him with Reed Mahoney, or if you wanted to keep Robson, you could pair him with in that scenario there. It's something that you can do, but obviously that would affect your round 13. So really, it's if you have a Brayley or a Lussick, it is where it works best, and he could definitely do well. There's obviously some risks in there as well that you need to think of. Jeremy Marshall-King, he is perfect to pair with an Origin guy. So the Robsons, Api Korosaus, these types of players. And if you haven't checked out, if you're not sure on Origin availability, potential likelihood of selection, check out that latest video. It's just my opinion. I may have missed a couple of guys, but it just gives you a bit of an overview of who is likely and the percentage chance that they will be in Origin. Jeremy Marshall-King at 679k. So he's a little bit cheaper than the two guys mentioned, priced at 49. 47.8 is the average for the season. And he has had a few games there where he's missed out on 80 minutes, but in the previous 3 weeks, he has been at that 80-minute clip and has had the odd attacking stat with offloads and line break assists across them. 47 and 42 the last 2 weeks. Doesn't spell great things, but he does have a lot of those 40s in his game. And then a 62 and a 56 a few weeks ago. So he could definitely go up to that range, but he could also hang around that mid-40s. And do you want to grab that now, or do you want to wait until round 13? That's probably what you'll need to look at. But if you're listening to me in that section, you're in the market for a hooker. And he could definitely be that guy. If he plays around that 13, 16, 19, that's great. Might be what you want. Something to think about over the next period is your captain, right? So that's where Isaiah Yeo could come in. If Hines is out this week, Isaiah Yeo is the next best captain. There's no Cleary. If there's no Hines, then Isaiah Yeo is the next guy on the list, or a Payne Haas, something like that. So that's something to note, that if you want the clear low floor guy, his lowest score of the year is 55, which is absolutely incredible. has a low score, wow, and then a high score of 74, then he's the guy to do it. He'll cover you for that captaincy. There's also a decent chance that he backs up from round 14, 17, and 20. Maybe he gets one rest across those 3 weeks, which would mean that by that stage he would miss 4 weeks, which would be a little bit annoying. But if you want someone that's stock standard, you know what you're going to get, do the job, and scores really well, then Isaiah Yeo is that guy. So I just want to put that out as an option if you're looking for someone in that category. Someone that usually gets a few less minutes in backing up, which Isaiah Yeo doesn't, is that of Payne Haas at 849. So with him, guys, you're looking at a player that scored really well on the weekend, got good minutes, and I would probably expect that going forward over the next 2 weeks. When Origin comes, he usually does return with some lesser minutes, whether it's a 46 in round 17. He did play 56 in round 14, but again, it's lower than the majority of his backup games there, and then he didn't play in round 20 in backup in that last one. So keep that in mind when you're looking at Payne Haas, that you may be trading in a player that is going to miss sort of 4 games over the bye period, and then likely not to back up in one of them. And if he does back up, probably some lesser minutes. So I think if you're trading in Origin players at this stage of the season, that 100% Origin players, you need to have a lot of trades in your bank, is my sort of theory on that one. At least 20 at this stage of the season. Adam Fanua-Blake, if you want a mid that yes doesn't play 13 but is going to score very, very well across the season and hopefully get you somewhere near this 58 average, it's that of Adam Fanua-Blake. He has scored 5 tries already this season, but we saw last year that that's something in his normal range, that he can score a good amount of tries. He's actually done better across the beginning of this season than he did by this point last season by 1 try. He had 4 tries at this stage last season. So yeah, I think he's someone that if he's going to get those minutes on a regular basis at 60 plus, then he's a guy that should be able to get a 55 to 58 average, that only misses 2 games in the next large portion of matches. He does miss round 27, but he is probably more of a buy, in my opinion, than that of Yeo or Haas, just to get that extra game or 2 out of him and the minutes that you're not going to see from those big dogs. Hopgood. This is a very contentious one because I think he's a slam dunk buy this week if you thought he wasn't going to be in Origin. But the likelihood of him being in Origin, in my opinion, is about 80%, with Queensland missing a bunch of their middle forwards in Gilbert, in Tino Fa'asuamaleaui, with Hopgood being that good replacement, in my opinion, for Tino. So in that scenario, I can't buy him at 789. He's obviously down a little bit on his starting price, which is great for non-owners if you were looking to buy. And I definitely think he can continue to do well. The last few weeks, he's gone 59 and 58 with, 59 minutes on the weekend. He was still able to score really well. That's probably the only thing there, is that you're getting sort of around that 60 minutes on a regular basis. And does he have 60 plus in 60 minutes? I don't think so. With a PPM of 0.92 across his career, you're looking at that 55 to 58 where he's at right now. If you think he makes Origin, you can't select. If you don't think he can, if he is, or you're going to take that gamble, that percentage that he doesn't make Origin, he's a terrific purchase this week in middle and edge there as well. Speaking of edges, we move to that section now. And Nat Butcher at 7-11 price now at 51, sorry. He is someone that looks like he's kept his spot on that edge. And there was a bit of a worry that he might lose his spot, but he's played much better, it looks like, considering Trent is continuing to keep him in that side. So 711 with the dual mid and edge, he can be a really important cog that can average anywhere around that 50 plus mark, in my opinion, in those type of minutes. Because he's had 3 games this year, 54 for 2 of them and 58 for 1, where he got lower scores, 45 being his high and 2 34s. If he can get the 80 minutes, we know he's a 55 scorer across his career. The stats say so, if you extrapolate that out, but we've done that across the season, and that's been shown here. He's got a 41 and a 67, averaging out into the mid-50s, and then he's got a 48, 73, a 50, and a 55. So again, that's a mid-50s this year, which is what it's been across his career. So if you want to grab him, he's unlikely to be in Origin. He could be a really cool one if you not worried about that round 14 buy. He will do well. I had him in the mid, sorry. And then Terrell May at 621 with the break even of 44. I think you can just hold now up to round 13 buy and make your decision from there. He will get good minutes likely in round 13. Nafahu White, who was taking some minutes off Terrell, really because he was playing so well, didn't play last week and is off the extended bench this week. So if he stays on there, I think Terrell can stick with that 30-odd minute role, and that's enough for him to get that lovely PPM of 1.07 across his career to get you close to a 40 and be fine as a starter in your team this week and as a play. So hold on to Terrell, I think. Oregon Kaufusi, 555. He's had a really, really good 3 weeks here. But what you're looking at with that 3 weeks is big tackle break numbers, so 4, 2, and 6. That's above all of the rest of the games that he's played this year. He had a try assist in the first one, and he had a try in each of the last 2, with minutes being up at 60 last week as well. So if those minutes stay up there, I think he's going to be worth it as like a 46 to 48 type of scorer, but that's also with the attacking stats and the tackle breaks that he hasn't had across the first 7 games of the season. So keep that in mind if you're grabbing Oregon at a price of 40. I think that's where he'll likely score. Let's put it out to over 40 minutes across his career. And that's a 36.7 average in 46 minutes. He's obviously improved this year, but let's look at it from 2022 is 35 and 46, 2023, 31 and 44. Let's take it over 50 minutes just to make it look a bit better. 30 and 52 minutes last year. In this season, he's got a 59 and a 60. Obviously, the 2 of those games involve attacking stats as well. And then he only did it twice in 2022 for a 43.5 in 55 minutes. So I think it's a risk to buy Oregon Kaufusi at this price. He probably has a little bit of value. He does cover around 13 and 14, which is obviously helpful. But is it something that you want to have that he could be like a 38 scorer and actually lose some money over the next while? Yes, he'll make some in the interim. But then once he gets to a 44 price point, he'll pop back down. And I don't know, is there other better options, basically, is my question for you. Is Max King one of those options that plays around 13 instead? And obviously plays 14, 16, and 20, 17 and 20, which is cool. He's priced at 46. He's got an average of 47.3 this year. He had his broken hand, finger issue, whatever it was, wrist, one of the 3. And on his return games, he got 35 in 48 minutes and didn't play special at all. 36 and 52 after their bye. And then he's gone 52 and 52 minutes. And that was with 42 tackles, just the 1 miss. But we know against the Panthers, tackles through the middle are well up. And if you don't miss tackles against them, you're going to make a lot. So that's good. The run meter side is very much the same as where it was. So it's just on the tackles side. And the lack of missed tackles, which was really helpful, without any errors as well. So I do expect him to be closer to that high 40s number, which we've seen from him on a regular basis. Sometimes he doesn't get the exact minutes, and other times he does, and he does really well. So 50 minutes for him. He's a 0.87 ppm guy, so that's very, very close to that 45, where he's priced at 46. So he's a very solid purchase this week if you have that money, which I know a lot of people do. James Fisher-Harris at 562. Priced at 40 now. He's had a couple of good weeks in a row, which is helpful, obviously. 49 and a 50. Obviously scored a try a few weeks back in round 7 for a 62. But you're looking at these last 2 weeks, and his minutes are up. Is that going to continue going forward, or are we going to see him back into that 44 to 47 role? If he continues with these 50-plus minutes, we know that it's good signs for him. Let's have him at over 40 and see where he's at across his career. Over 40 minutes, that's a lot of games. He's at 47 average in 60 minutes. So that's very, very high. So let's bring that down to about a 52, 53 minute type of style. And he does have a little bit of value. How much? Is it 44? Is it 45? So 4 to 5 points of value and sort of 50K to make, 60K? Or does he go back to a mid 40s in minutes and hurt people like he did last year? Something I think you need to answer, like how many times have he played over 50 in his career? That's a decent amount of footy above that. He obviously had some lock games in there, but across the last 2 years is what we want to look at. In round 23, he played about 10 games there, which was cool. 10, something like that, for 53 minutes a game and 47 average. So if you think that it's going to be 53 minutes from here, give or take, in the 40s some weeks, then it's probably 5 points of value. Is that enough for you across this period? It might be. Like he plays around 13, he plays around 14, 17 and 20, misses 16, 19. Is that something, do you need a mid in that first few rounds, but not as much in the back view? Keep that in mind when you make that decision on Fisher-Harris. So there's the stats. You can decide whether it's going to work out or not. Speaking of stats, Griffin Neame, even cheaper again, another 110K down from Fisher-Harris, priced at 32 with a lower break even after a couple of good weeks. So what we need to look at with Big Griff is his last 2 weeks. So 41 in 47 minutes with 3 missed tackles. A little bit on par for him, to be honest. The 37 for none last week is probably the big outlier. That week before, he also had a turnover tackle and a couple of errors. So I think that offsets a little bit of the missed tackle numbers for sure. So last week was 58 and 51. It was a pretty perfect game. He had a line break with the tackle break and an offload. 37 for no misses, 130 meters gain. 1 penalty. So only one negative stat in this game. So if he's going to have more games like that, then amazing. He's going to make a lot of cash. But I'm expecting him to be more closer to the high 30s to 40 range. And that still gives him 5 to 8 points of value. If you're looking at him with over 40 minutes, and we say prop to start off with, he's 40.7 in the 3 games that he's played there, 49 minutes, which is cool. So that's obviously 8 points of value, but that's 3 games only. As an interchange player, 47 minutes, which I think that he can get on a regular basis in this team now. With Jordan McLean returning, though, is something to note. 35 is the average. So you'd only have 3 points of value. If you're looking at last year when he played really well, he's missing a lot of tackles as well. So if he can improve that on this year, that would be awesome. But how much do these type of players improve, and in a team that has a very scattered defensive line, how well can he go? But he's a cheaper mid that you want to look at this week. It was Harm Saleh last week. It's now Griffin Neame in this one that plays round 13 and round 14. If you're looking for someone even cheaper than that, but doesn't play round 13, it's that of Davvy Moale. 365 priced at 26, so he doesn't have to go crazy to make some money. 8 break even or procs to that. And you're looking at these good scores this year when he plays over 30 minutes. He's got a 31 with a try, which is a little bit 27 in 28 minutes was good. Run a ball 25 in round 4. 37 in 45 minutes, which is good. 42 in 38 minutes. 43 last week in 55 minutes. So if there's any world where he plays 50 to 55 minutes going forward, this is going to be a slam dunk pick. The question being, does he get those minutes going forward? He played 50 minutes across 4 games in his career, where he's got a 40.8 average, which is 14 to 15 points of value, and could do really well. Plays round 16 and 19, so that can be some really good cover for you. Plays round 14 as well. If you need a mid this week and you want to go cheap and spend some money elsewhere, Davvy Moale could be the pick that doesn't come without risk, that's for sure, but he could definitely do a good job for your side. Euan Aitken, someone I'm very interested in this week. He just sets our positions up really well. With Crichton likely to be in Origin as that edge, he could cover that edge in round 13. He could also cover center for all of the other important major bye weeks. And you can plug in between both. And, someone that you could plug in at center that plays in the back row 80 minutes is an absolute godsend. And I'm very upset that I didn't pick him up in round 2 when he was the purchase after, getting that spot with Connolly Lemuelu going down. Or at least, if not round 2, it was round 4 that was the good buy, and he's absolutely crushed it since then, and is averaging 53.4 for the season. So if he continues that average, he's got a couple of points of value, which is great. He covers all 3 major buy rounds. He covers round 17. He covers round 20 as well. And if he keeps his spot for the year, he will be a gun center hold, and you don't have to bring in another gun. So that's where the importance is. Obviously, round 14 is the tough buy for me, for a lot of other coaches. So Aitken, think of that. Think of round 14, but think of all the good scores and safe scores he can get for you in the center position, who can also cover in that edge in certain weeks of the bye period. Aitken, an absolute slam dunk pick. If round 14 is not an issue for you, absolute killer pick. And he's not owned by a lot of people. 10% of the top 5,000. The scores are super simple. It's 45 is his lowest in his first game back, and then he's got a 48 and 2 49s, and then he's 50 plus and a couple of 60s in that as well. Aitken, a terrific pick this week. Luke Garner. This is an interesting one because you look at this and go, okay, Scotty Sorensen might come back and play this week. You've got Martin that's going to be out for round 13. Does he back up and play big minutes in round 14 and 17 and 20? They're all something to think about. If you want to take the punt that Scotty Sorensen doesn't play this week and Garner can come out and do really well again, awesome. This is crazy because he's gone 76 and 81, which he hasn't done anything like that before. He had a really good score, I think, when he first came back, was a 63 in round 2 last year, where he dominated and got big tackle break numbers like he got in round 10 against the Dogs. But he hasn't really done this longer term. And he's very expensive now, priced at 40. I'm expecting him to be a 40 to 45 guy when he gets 80 minutes. But again, how many weeks is he going to actually get 80 minutes? And Sorensen's going to take his spot. Is he going to be a bench guy and get 50? Or, Sorensen to be a bench guy, Garner get 50 minutes. There's a few too many things, in my opinion, to buy him. But if you want to, that's the numbers. With Liam Martin being gone as well, I want to mention that. Brent Nikora, 659. So he's priced at 47 now, which is still a little bit under what he scored last year. Obviously, if you're looking at 2023, he averaged 52.5 in the 78.4 minutes. So that's good. If Hines does play this week, that helps out. They do play Roosters into Penrith. So what are the chances of him scoring a try? Probably lower against those teams. But defensively is where he's been making his mark over the last few weeks there. So 2024 defensive numbers, the last 3 weeks have been 39 tackles, 45 and 44. Yes, missing some, 3, 5 and 3. But he's getting offloads. He's getting the odd tackle break. And the last 2 weeks anyway, 113 and 85 meters, his 2 highest of the season so far. 50 is his lowest over the last 3 weeks, 58 and 59. So he will continue to make money being priced at 47, but he's average at 45. He'll continue to go up a little bit and covers round 13, 14 and round 19. So really cool edge guy to have if you want Brent Nikora. As much as a buy this week as he was last week. Madison, I can't see you buying him this week, but he's a clear hold. Cartwright, we're still unsure how many minutes he's going to get, but play Madison this week, see what happens. I still can't believe he went up to 44 in updates, but congrats to him. It was his highest tackle break game of the season, which is actually pretty wild because he's a easy tackle break and offload type of guy. Didn't get the offload this week, but just the 4 tackle breaks, which is good. Hold on to him. I don't think he's a buy. You can if you want, but I'm not going to say he is because I think Cartwright's going to take some minutes from him. Eli Katoa, if you wanted a good edge player, a gun edge player, that you don't need for round 13, you don't need an edge player, but you want someone who's going to be a gun for that entire period, then Eli Katoa is that guy. One guy I also forgot to talk about or add into this list is going to be Fina Furiaki. I'll add him now. Eli Katoa, priced at 52, average of 53, so yeah, it's pretty much spot on there. We know what he can do. He obviously scored an individual try on the weekend. He can get 50s, 60s, 70s, and is a guy you're not going to have to worry about Origin. You just plug him in there and play him for the rest of the year. Just missing round 13 and 19 to come. Already having 1 bye. It's two more to miss, and that's it. Kulukefu. Guys, I just wanted to put it out there. I think he's a hold. He's going to play likely 80 minutes in round 13. He's not going to lose much money this week with a break even of 35. If there's any injuries as well, he comes back into that role, and he's starting to play better and better over the last few weeks. He got 23 in 26 minutes on the weekend. You probably don't want to play him in your 17 this week, but I think he's a hold. If you've already covered for edge in round 13, then by all means sell. No problem. Hillam Luki. Minutes went up a little bit last week, which is good. Up to 54 minutes. Did get a try saver. No real attacking stats, just the 1 tackle break there. Had a missed tackle and a penalty, so 38 and 54 minutes. Happy days there. Defensively, he's been much better this year. He's only missed 3 tackles in the 4 games he's played, and that includes 2 under 30-minute games for sure. But Lukey, 436, priced at 31 now. We know what he can do in 55 to 60 minutes. Is that the risk you want to take at edge at the moment? Considering he probably won't play 80 for a couple of weeks. He might do in round 13, but he won't for the next few. I think he can wait. Higher break even as well, but if you want to go for it, it's going to be very much a pod play. No one really owns him in the top 5,000. Go for it. K Weeks, the purchase of the week. I think he has a neg 12 break even is the actual real break even there, not neg 8, but again, they're always pretty close there. He's priced at 24, and the 2 games he's played halfback, he's gone 42 and 57 against 2 solid teams, obviously, in Sharks and also the Eagles. He's missed 7 tackles across those 2, but he's made 44. Run for 102 average meters a game and kicked for 425 meters a game. So just those stats alone is great. And then he kicked goals in round 9, which he is a high chance to do again. There's a chance that Jordy Rapinoe comes in and kicks goals. But even without the goals, he's still going to be a close to a 40-point scorer with just those base stats. And he's 10 to 15 points undervalued, which is great. Minimum 10, up towards 20 for sure if he averages 44. Halfback and wing fullback duel. Feel like everyone just needs to get him this week. You don't want to fall behind. There's a lot of people already on him. 43% in the top 5K. Just get on him. He'll be a good one to own. If you want the gun half this week, Dylan Brown is still the guy. Yes, priced at 54. yes, doing good things. He has, two 70s in his last 4 games, a 48 and a 57 in there. His lowest since he's lost Moses has been a 48. So still another week without Moses. Moses has a chance of playing Origin too. I don't expect it to happen, but it's a chance. And I still think Dylan Brown is going to be a good player over the next few weeks. You've got Melbourne this week, who are missing a few. It'll still be a close game, I think. Bunnies the week after. It's going to be really fun. And then, Cronulla, Dogs, and Roosters. Like, it's semi-hard draw for sure. But I still think he's going to be able to score really, really well. And, be an option for you. Atkinson, 326. There's a little bit of worry with Trindle on the bench, but I do think Trindle is there to cover for if Nicho Hynes was to be out. And if that was to be the case, either way, Atkinson's going to be losing kick meters this week, and obviously the goal kicking if Hynes is there as well. Unless they're worried about his calf and Atkinson keeps goal kicking because he did a good job the other night. Atkinson, if Hynes is playing, I do think that he's more of a looper type of play rather than a clear play, given the 31 and 30 he scored the 2 weeks before. And against the Roosters as well. Thank God he doesn't have Manu on his side this week. That's actually going to be really helpful for his missed tackle numbers, that's for sure. But have him as like a looper. Is he a clear buy? I don't know. It's a hard one because you've got Armstrong this week. You could also buy. I haven't popped him in this list, but he's potential at 340 odd. Atkinson at 326 could still work out. I think Jack Cole might be a better option. If you need a wing fullback, halfback, that's where KO Weeks comes in. So up to you. I still think you can buy him. He's going to make some good money over the next few weeks. He looked incredible, but it's more who he's placed next to. If he's placed next to Hynes, a lot of his ability to score big points goes away. Up to you, 50-50. Jack Cole, man, I'm excited about this, man. I think he's just going to do great. We've seen what he was able to do overseas as well in that game. His New South Wales Cup stats aren't absolutely incredible. He averages 37, but it's a much slower game. There's many more points scored in that, and Jack gets a lot of his points through base. He got 19 tackles for 1 miss on the weekend. He obviously got the turnover tackle, so you're not going to expect that on a regular basis. Put him down to 22. He got 24 meters gain, 111 kick meters. I just think he's going to be a 40 to 50 guy very comfortably with the odd attacking stat in this team. You've got a great team. It's up against Warriors this week. Could get close to 40 in base with some good kick meters, like decent kick meters, like 100 to 200. Like you got 111 in a half a footy. So expect something decent there with Jack, and 30 tackles somewhere there, 25 to 30 tackles. They'll run it in for sure, and some decent run meters with the odd attacking stat. So he'll be fine. The question is Schneider, how many weeks? NRL Physio doesn't know yet, but the way it looked, he's got it between 4 and 8 weeks, which is a lot of weeks. If it's 4 weeks, I think he's a great buy. If it's 8 weeks, then an even better buy. You can wait 1 week and find out about Schneider. If you want to wait and watch him play, sweet. But I think at 230k, it's a great purchase. But you're not going to go crazy missing out on him just because there's other guys like Weeks and stuff that are going to make good money this week, more money than Cole. Atkinson as well. And he could score similar to them, 30s, 40s. They could all score that as well. So keep that in mind for Cole. Sammy Walker, 595. I had him in there as a chance to be 18th man in Origin. But 595, had a good week last week with 54. Picked up a try, 2 try assists, 3 line break assists. So there's a bit going on there, obviously. Kick meters have been down a little bit considering they've been dominating teams. I expect this to be a closer one. Expect him to get sort of some decent tackle numbers around that 20 mark. Miss a few, obviously. Get some good kicking meters. Hopefully put on some tries as well. And he's still a really solid purchase if you want another half for this section. All right. Tyron Wishart, 338. I've got him there as a potential buy as well. It's more on the realm that you're going to be buying him for this Para and likely the Manly matchup. He has a buy in round 13. Hughes will be back by then, but does Munster rest with his issue that he's got? That's the question. He'll play round 16 as well. He'll miss round 15 with Munster and Hughes back, obviously. He'll play round 16. He could back up, he could play 17. He could play 20 as well. So that's probably the thoughts with Wishart. If you're buying him for that section, but it would be a bit of a tough one if he wasn't to be in the team or he's on the bench in round 14 because you do need that player. So he's a very, very risky play here that I think can score well. And he's shown that in the 2 games that he has played. And then obviously that game where he moved around as well with Wishart coming on the wing. He was able to score well with 32 with a try in that one, but got 65 and a 66 in his 2 halfback games. I think he'll be able to score about a 40 going forward and make some money. Half and wing fullback duel. We just have so many of them now with Atkinson and also with KO Weeks. Sean Johnson, 832. He is now a hold in my opinion, guys. If you have a lot of trades, you could trade him out, like 20 plus trades. That would be fine. But him being out for these 2 weeks, then their bye, it's just an extra 2 weeks from what you would have held anyway. He'll be fresh, ready to go by that point, and I think he's a hold this week. On to the next one is Tolu Kola, 458. He's very cheap. It's awesome, right? The big thing with him is obviously when he plays fullback, he scores really well, incredibly well, averaging 73.3 in his 4 games there. That includes 2 try savers, 2 tries, 4 try assists, 8 line breaks in 4 games, and then 3 line break assists with a 10 per game tackle break numbers, which is just freakish in a 255 run meter efforts. You do need to note that these games here, the Sharkies smashed them 40-6 and he got a 49. The Raiders smashed the Eagles as well, 48-6, and he got 57. So they are really, really good numbers, and that, you know, could really help him out over the next few weeks of tough games with Broncos, with Melbourne, into the bye, obviously, and then Penrith, like I've been talking about with Garrick. He could struggle a little bit. He could also come out and get a 45 average. He could get a 40 average. He could get a 60 average. Who knows with Tolu Kola right now? Completely up to you on this pick. If you need someone in the centers, any price, whatever, Tolu could be great. If you don't need a round 13 player and you want to lock someone in that has dual position flexibility, that we know when he gets to play against, you know, Dragons and Bunnies, he's probably going to have a really, really good game. He's someone that you could look at this week. You could also wait 1 week for sure. You could try and get it through all the way through to around 14 or 15 if you want, but then he probably only gets a couple of games at fullback. So I think for Tolu, if you're going to grab him, it is this week, and that's probably it. I don't think you can get him this next week, and it's probably hard to buy him in 14 because it's against Penrith. Yeah, interesting one. Get him this week or don't. Blaze Talangi, 351. Incredible game last week. So he's gone 42-34 in center and 5/8. He had a 19 against the Raiders. And then he went 9 in 21 minutes off the bench, and then 57 last week. But 57 last week was what we're looking at because he was incredible. He got 215 run meters. He got turnover tackle. He got kick defusals, 3 line breaks, a try. Could have got a second. There was a lot of great things going on. And that was against the Broncos. So even against Manly this week, he could definitely have a good week. Is it 3-4 weeks until Gutho comes back? Yes. Does he likely get round 13 and maybe not round 14? Yes. So that's a worry. He's at 351 now, not 300 or under. Does Gutho come back at centre and leave Blaze Talangi playing at fullback if he continues to play well? There's a lot of question marks. If you own him right now, good on you. If you don't, like myself, it's a tough bring in if you decide to do it. If you want a cheaper centre that plays round 13, he's the guy. If you're not worried about it, then Tolu's probably the guy there. Yeah, it's a tough one. Jacob Kiraz, still a potential buy in my opinion, guys. He's got Canberra this week, into Dragons, into Newcastle and Para. So the next 4-game stretch is awesome for Dogs. He's playing really well, and he's got his base stats right up. 55, 48, 37, and 57 the last 4 weeks, and that includes 2 tries, yes, 5 line breaks. Normal tackle break numbers across them, 6, 1, 7, 6. Obviously, just when he got the 1 there, he actually got 48 points, but that included 2 line breaks and a try. So the meters gained are up. We don't have to worry about missed tackles as much as we did in centers, and his dual position plays all those games. Really, really cool buy. He's priced exactly where he's averaged right now. Not a priority guy, but I think, you know, the next 4 weeks are really good. I think he can continue to do well. So Kiraz, really solid one to look at this week. Herbie Farnworth, $5.99. If you want to go cheaper at center and you like watching Herbie play, then he'll be solid, guys. Anywhere between high 30s on a regular basis up into the early 50s. So that's what you expect from Herbie. He got 47 last week. Got his shoulder irritated, but he was very happy to get through it. He's definitely one at $5.99 you could grab for sure. Bradman Best at $6.54. I think he's a really decent chance, a high chance anyway, of Origin. Anything over sort of 40-50% chance is a high chance because, yeah, if you get caught out, it hurts. But he had a really slow start to the season and has really turned it on and has been one of their best players over the last month or so. 42 for him is his lowest in the last 5. That includes 3 tries and 6 line breaks. And good tackle numbers, good tackle break numbers, and big run meters. So he's obviously someone that could do really well this week. If he doesn't make Origin, it's the bye in round 12. He plays Dogs in round 13 into Melbourne, into Penrith. He's playing well enough to get by that, but he's up to a 47 pricing, and he'll be up at 50 next week. So it's kind of this week or leave him, I think, especially with a chance of playing Origin. Isaac Tungo, maybe not this week, but could you do it? I don't know. Without Cleary, it kind of hurts a little bit, but 595, he went 86 and 66 in round 2 and 3, and then has been down since then. 37, 41, 51, pretty solid. And then he went 19 and 14, two of the worst games I've seen him play, to be honest. And I'm hoping that he bounces back for my Supercoach team. But 595, way cheaper than what you got him at the start at 678. Got all the way up to 743, and he's just an absolute free fall at the moment. So if you're worried about him getting a 20 or a 30 again, just wait off. And if he gets anywhere near the 500s mark, he'll be a very interesting pick. 500 by like round 13 could be crazy. So yeah, that might be more the play. Bailey Simonson, if you're looking at him this week, 460k. He's had 2 really good weeks, 49 and a 60 in those two, with 1 try, 2 line breaks, 15 tackle breaks between those, 4 offloads last week, and had a really, really good week. So he's getting back into a bit of rhythm after he had some issues at the start, getting moved from wing to center, back to wing, having a head knock. There's a lot going on. So he's lost a fair bit, a decent amount in price. Actually, no, he's brought it back the last 2 weeks, hasn't he? Yeah, he got down to 389. 389 back up to 460. So frustrating at that. But we know we were looking at him in the preseason, and centre wing fullback dual, someone that plays 13, 14, 19. He could be really cool if you want to take that plunge. Very, very non-owned. Low ownership there, which is good. And a low break even. So he should be able to get into the 500s pretty quick. If he can score 40s and 50s for you, that'd be great. But how trustworthy is that potential? Dylan Edwards at 801. I got him 50-50 with Tedesco to play Origin. So you can put Tedesco on this list as well if you want. He's priced at 57, Edwards, averaging that. Incredible effort. 41 is his lowest for the year in round 1. Since then, he's been on an absolute tear. And obviously, having the goal kicking has been massive for him as well. And he didn't even need it against the Cowboys there, 58 for him. When he has the goal kicking, he's an absolute dominant player, and he's up in the mid to high 50s, even into the 60s, obviously this season without him. He's without Cleary for a good while now. If he doesn't make Origin at 801k, he's still a good player because he's going to be the best wing fullback to own if he doesn't play Origin. But then he misses 16, 19. Do you want him just for a bunch of weeks at his peak price, likely at 801? It could work out. He's a very safe option at that. Up to you. Scott Drinkwater at 670. Tough one last week. Didn't score very well. 28, lowest of the season. How good. His lowest of the season before last week was 36 against Panthers, and a 41, 44, and 45. So I'm expecting a bounce back this week against the Rabbitohs. He then goes Tigers into Roosters in Origin week, Warriors and Canberra. It's still the same setup as it was last week. They played terrible. He didn't have a great game himself, so hopefully he bounces back, and so does everyone else in this Cowboys team. That is for sure. He's going to be a guy that makes errors, but what we want him to be doing is trying hard and getting try assists, getting tries, which this season he hasn't picked up too many. He's only got 5 so far for an absolutely explosive fullback. At 670 now, he's a bit cheaper than he once was, priced at 48. So is this the week to grab him? There's still a good chunk that do own him at 27% in the top 5,000. I do myself. Do you want to go for him? You sure can, but it's up to you. If you want to go cheaper, buy the weeks and these types of guys who I spoke about in the half section. Last 2 guys, thank you so much for watching throughout the end of this video. Again, I'm off to Magic Round this week. If you want to hang out, I'll let you know in the Thursday video where I'm sitting. We'll go from there. Or the Friday video. Yeah, work it out. Dom Young, 556. Low break even, obviously, after his cracking score. Apart from the 15 and the neg 12, his lowest score is 43. So that's great. He's going to score lots of tries in this incredible team of the Roosters right now. You could buy in now, and he could be a 650 in the next few weeks, or he could get sent off again. It's going to be a bit more rocks and diamonds given he's a winger, but it's something you should definitely have a look at. There is Dom Young in that one, and I did forget to speak about Gregory, so we'll add him as well. Greg Marzhew. But yeah, Dom Young, to finish things off, has the ability to go nuts, and we saw that on the weekend with 84 with 5 line breaks, 9 tackle breaks, a couple of offloads, and 250 meters. So I doubt that's going to happen again against the Sharks, but you could definitely score 40s against good teams and go bigger against the lesser teams. 459 for Greg Marzhew. Obviously, we'll be playing 13 and 14. Break even's kind of stabilized, which is nice in the mid to high 20s. And the last couple of weeks has been a bit better. So 36 2 weeks ago into a 49, but that included his second try of the season. He was able to run the ball a lot more, 200 run meters for 7 tackle breaks. If that can stay, he's going to get some type of attacking stats in tries, line breaks, and try assists. And if Armstrong can continue playing like he is, maybe he can continue feeding Greg some good balls. So if you want to grab him as a pod type of play, then that could work out for your side for sure. And then the final one, Latrell Mitchell. If you don't think he's going to be playing Origin, if you want a gun wing fullback that plays round 14, round 16, 19, and 20, and doesn't have a bye for the rest of the year, then Latrell could be that guy. He's down under 700k now, which is helpful. The break even's still up a bit. People said, oh, he got 2 tries, a try assist. How's he going to maintain those types of scores? This is what he does. He got 81 in game 1. He got a 53. He had some shockers through there. Then he went back to a 52. If you look at last season, he has those types of games where he gets doubles, he gets triples, and he gets 60s, 70s, 80s, and does great work. If he has decent games with this team, they're going to score tries and he's going to get goals as well. The main issue is the fact that the team sucks at the moment. But silver lining, they've got Cowboys and Para the next 2 weeks. 2 teams that he could score well against. Into the bye, into the Titans, who are carrying some injuries. And then Broncos, Manly. So it's not the worst in the world over that period. And then following games after their bye in round 17, Para, Dolphins, Tigers, Canberra. He's got a really good run across the season. Up to you if you want to get him. And I think it's a bit of a risk. But if you want to do it, awesome. Lock it in. Get it going. Thanks so much for being here for the Buy, Hold, Risk, and Sell. I'm so excited for Magic Round. Good luck with your teams this week. And we'll have the short version out. We'll have some questions and answers. And we'll get into, hopefully, seeing Scoop tonight for his chat leading into Magic Round. See you guys.